Now let's go back to your days of an in-house, and now you're seeing all these in-housers, because even with being, you get asked a lot of questions by people at conferences and that sort of thing. What are the things that you think an in-house SEO should be putting on their 2012 roadmap this year?
Okay, number one, I'm going to pull out of the bag, is going to be schema.org. Folks need to go and check that out. You might know it as rich snippets or RDFA or microdata, all of those things. It's basically the same idea. It's marking up the content. Schema.org is the location that has the protocol listed out that the three major search engines have agreed to follow. So you can't go wrong looking at that data. If you're using the others, that's fine. Keep going. We still recognize it all. The point behind this, though, is businesses need to start looking at ways to identify their content. Think of all of their content as objects. Images, videos, quotes, tweets coming in, Facebook posts being posted out, all of these objects that are on a web page. You need to start tagging those things and telling us what they are, explaining what that image is. Because as good as giving us a file name with keywords in it is, or putting it in a folder that's keyword rich, these things are really good signals to us, and even wrapping text around it and explaining what it is and putting an alt tag on it. Useful stuff to us. But if you can put it in at that code level, that is a trusted signal for us. That is something we can look at and say, hey, they've clearly got it right. I mean, we don't really see the photo, but if we're actually wondering if something's correct, we will take a look at it manually. And if we see that things are aligned, thumbs up. If we see that you're trying to get away with something, ooh, big thumbs down. And then we take action. But that schema.org thing, the reason I want folks to start thinking about that is because it's going to take them a while to work the changes into their code. They've got to go to engineering. They have to ask the engineers to actually go in and put these elements on a code. Someone has to build a user interface for them to be able to put the objects' names in so that it populates inside the code. These aren't simple things. These are relatively cumbersome asks for a lot of CMSs to be managed within. So it takes time. So definitely start thinking about it now. Work it in there. If you don't work it in 2012, work it in 2013. But make sure it's on that roadmap. Another thing, make absolutely certain you guys have a quality content ethos within your organization. That is critical. Don't take shortcuts. Do not repurpose content. Make sure it's unique. If you have to invest in people, get more editors. Get people who are subject matter experts and can go deep on a topic. That is critical. Right? A lot of what we're seeing today, a lot of these challenges websites are facing, is because they went thin on content. They said, hey, let's put something out there as more of a placeholder, and we'll see how well that does. And it did okay for a little while because there wasn't anything else. You know what? This is 2011, darn near 2012 here. There are a lot of passionate people out there building a lot of quality content along a lot of topics. Our goal as a search engine is to present the best result set, not an adequate result set. So we need that excellent content from you. And the only way we're going to get it is if you invest in it up front. So those are the big ones, right? You can't go wrong with content.
So it's really content and schema from your perspective.
Yeah, content and schema. I mean, the rest of it is, the link building, you're going to do that stuff. That's great. Look at ways to do that smartly, like guest blogging. You're going to trade some time and expertise, and someone's going to allow you that link from an affiliated site that still has value. Make sure you're deeply engaged with your constituents in social media. Those things are critical. It is a way for us to get signals about you, and if you're not involved, we're still getting the signal about you because other people are talking about you, and we see that. So you being a part of that conversation is much more valuable to you. So it's either going to happen with you or without you. Either way, it's happening. You need to be a part of that. Plus, the whole idea of social, and you can share your links, you can do all that stuff, and that can have an effect for you over time, right? So those are kind of like the major areas that folks really need to be thoughtful of.
And you mentioned that you guys actually do hand editing occasionally. How often does that happen? Because most people are sitting around thinking, I'm probably not at risk for that. Like, really, what should people be thinking about hand editing?
It's not something I can disclose.
Okay.
We do it where it's warranted, but it's obviously not something that you seek to do very often because at scale it doesn't work. Right? So typically, if we see triggers coming up, then someone will go in and take a look.
So there's something that will set it off.
It's not like we just randomly sit down with a cup of coffee and say, hey, I'm not doing anything today. Let's do an esoteric search and look at a website. It's nothing like that, right?
Okay.
We literally have a series of system triggers that will come in that will eventually pop up to an email alias where someone will get an email and it'll say, hey, you need to go check this out. And then they can go look at it, do some investigating on it, and find out, is this a new type of spam that we're seeing, or did somebody just get something wrong in a certain order and it happened to trip it, okay? And we really don't care. People make mistakes all the time. Unless it's something overt, it's not going to be an issue for them.